Hey everybody, it's Emily, the Crazy Worm Lady. I know I've been MIA for a really long time and I do apologize, and I thank you all for continuing to watch my videos. I know a lot of you have been catching up. I really am very, very thankful. But I got a package today. Well, that's not true. A couple days ago. And it gave me all the reason to push myself to get this video out. So I'm going to show you what I have here. I'm going to pull it so I'm not crinkling right in the speaker there. And Tom was nice enough to let me be one of the first people to try out his new VermiBag tote. So I have seen his little video tutorial on it, but I've not yet tried it or anything like that. But I thought I'd bring you guys along and we will try a brand new system. So I'm opening this up and you see there's some straps, and these straps loop around the bin itself, the 10-gallon. I think he said it would even fit most 12 or 14-gallon totes as well. And the whole idea, I think, behind this is that, you know, people complain that their totes run too moist, and this is a way to really allow a lot of aeration inside of your system. So you open it up, it's quite shallow, and what it does is it suspends, and you don't have a lid on your system, and it suspends inside your tote, and it's able to breathe from all sides so that you get really great compost faster, and then it's easier then to harvest it out. So it has the standard mesh lid here, and I'm going to take a better look at this and see how I'm supposed to set it up. Then I will show you guys how I wrap it around the bin. I think this is to adjust the tightness so that it fits nice and taut, you know, inside the rim. And then I think we're going to put our red wigglers that I had migrated, and then I was baiting out the last of them. I did get the rest of them out, and that new bin that I'd started with the reds is actually really well composted because it's been so long since I've been in there. But I think I'm going to put that compost in here with those worms to get this started, because I think all that you know, healthy compost would be great to jumpstart the system, since it's completely sterile right now with no real microbial life, anything like that. So I will come back, show you guys how the setup goes, and then we will add our red wigglers in here and get them fed. So I nestled the bag itself inside of the tote, and of course this tote's dirty, but then there's this small like zip cord around the side, and I believe the idea is to make this nice and tight, because this is what's kind of underneath your lip, and it's going to hold your corners nice and taut. And of course, since I'm not good at following directions, I didn't look everything up perfectly, but that's the impression I get, is that then you want each of these corners kind of nestled in here. And now I just knocked this off, so I probably have to tighten it up a little bit more. But to get these corners nestled to hang this bin so that it's suspended. And you see that then there's room all the way around for there to be air coming down from the sides and from the bottom, because it doesn't nestle all the way to the very, very bottom of the tote. So the last piece that I see here, and I'll have to just fully kind of adjust this once I get everything in it, is this long strap, which reminds me a lot of like a backpack strap, something like that. And you take this down and underneath, and then it meets up in the front, and then you run it through this here. Hopefully I did this right. And then you pull this nice and tight. I'm pulling it probably tighter than it needs to be, but that way the weight of the compost, as it pushes down, it'll hold it sturdy, and I think that's the goal. So I'm sure Tom will see this. I hope he will, and he can correct me, and I can pass along anything that I messed up with this setup. But I think for the most part, we get the picture, because now all of our corners are in, and I just have this cord and then our tightening strap. So let's open it up now that it's kind of secure in here. And this is the inside. It's actually much deeper now that I have it in here. I can see that part of it was collapsed, because if I push down, it won't go all the way to the corners. There's like, this is touching the bottom, but the sides do not. And I guess that's where all the added aeration is really beneficial. And then I suppose if your system runs even more wet, maybe the 12 or 14 gallon would be better, because there would be even more space in the bottom so that the air could come up from below. The nice thing too is that some people put drainage holes in their Rubbermaid totes, but this shouldn't be a problem, because if it drains through here, it's contained inside the Rubbermaid, container, the tote, and can actually probably be a little bit of an evaporating source around to keep the compost moist. So I feel like it's going to be good aeration from the bottom, but it'll also keep things inside nice and moist. And this is just my take on it. Could be totally off base, but we will have to just see. So the first thing I wanted to do, I have a huge bag of food. I will say that these worms have not been fed in a long time. So I am going to feed a ton of food, but you guys know my worms do really well even with very large feedings, and once I fill this up, if I think it's too much, I won't. But I think they'll be able to handle it. And I'm just going to layer on the bottom some dry cardboard, because this will be absorbent, make a good base. And I did put some like soda can cartons in here, so it has a kind of that shiny coating on like Coke and Pepsi containers. So we'll see how well that compost. I've never really done a whole lot with it, but I'm all about experimenting, so we'll find out. So I filled that side. I'm going to fill the other side here. I think that should be enough to get us started. I'll move this for a second. And that kind of also gives you a good idea now how much this really can hold, because it really does fill most of the way, all the way around the tote, just with plenty of space on all of the sides. So next thing I'm going to do is, before I forget, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of my dry mix, which I've been promising a video on for forever, but I will make one soon. It's neem cake, kelp meal, diatomaceous earth, and oyster shell. I honestly do pretty equal amounts of each. They each have kind of their own benefit. The oyster shell, of course, as a grit source for the worm's gizzard. The neem cake is, it's got good nutrients, but it's also good at kind of deterring certain pests in your bin, if that's a concern of yours. The diatomaceous earth is also good for pests, but trace minerals. And the kelp meal is good moisture retention properties, and it's just really healthy for the garden. So it's one of those things, like, you don't have to add all of these things. You can make your own mix with other things that you think are important, and that's really the goal at the end of the day. So I'm going to pop my camera view over to my big 12 gallon or 14, whatever it is, that I have the red wigglers, and we'll take a look at them, and we're going to get them transferred over. So because these worms are so seriously neglected, their size is not quite as good as it could be, because it kind of dried out a little bit in here for a period of time. But you do see that we had made this new bin, and we're just feeding it because we were going to figure out what to do with these reds, which Tom helped us with that. I think this corn was probably our saving grace, because it takes a long time to break down, so it gave the worms something to congregate around. But they had processed everything in here. I mean, this is like totally finished compost. I really don't want to go through another harvest right now, and that's why I'm going to add all of these contents into our new VermiBag tote. And it's incredible how quickly compost kind of compacts down, so it's probably going to be quite full once we put it all in there. And then we'll probably feed it a few times, harvest it, and then start, you know, completely fresh without a million worms. This is definitely an African nightcrawler. He might be that one single one that had hung out and I was leaving him be. But the rest of these are all red wigglers. And they look relatively healthy, all considering. So I'm not going to bore you with the entire transfer process, but I'm going to get everything moved over into the tote, and then we will finish up with the feeding, leave it for a week, and see what happens. Alright, so we're looking down now at the VermiBag tote. It has had all of the worms put in here, and it is filled. I mean, relatively close to the top, within an inch or two. But of course, all of this dry material at the bottom will compact down. And I think these worms will probably really like this new setup. They always like the bag systems, and the concept of making a bag system that's small enough that you can put in a tote like this, I think is really genius. I love it. So we'll have to see how it turns out. But so far, I'm excited about the idea. So that smoke coming off is not smoke, it's just that dry mix that I put in here. Not good to breathe that in, so try not to if you can avoid it. And I'm going to add, I don't know if I'm going to be able to add all of it, this food, because now I'm thinking it might be a bit too much, but let's see. This is still frozen, that's why I pulled some of that dry stuff up, so that the worms can move away for a little while until it defrosts a little bit. But it's some melons. Ooh, most of it fell out. So it looks like we're feeding most of it. Oh my goodness. So some melons, banana peels, strawberries. There's a whole apple in there, it looks like. So these are all worm favorites. Absolutely. I'm going to put a little bit more dry mix on top since I added a lot more than I initially thought I was going to once I saw how full this was. But all of this moisture will be absorbed by that bedding in the bottom. And I think that will make this compost really nice because it's already very flaky, but it's almost borderline dry for the type of environment that the worms like to live in. I am going to put another handful or two of some dry bedding on top to keep the smells from attracting anything. So I'll just put like 2 or 3 handfuls all the way across the top, and you'll be surprised at how fast this level drops, even with all of this additional new bedding. So I'll do that. It's not completely covered, but the nice thing also is that this bag seals shut. So I will just pull the cover back up. Zip it up, and it will go in the room with all my other worms. But this is a 10-gallon tote. Now's fitted with the VermiBag tote, all set up, and I'm excited to see what happens. So our red wigglers will get to work, and we'll come back in about a week or so, take a peek, and see how it works for us. So let me know what you think, guys. I'm so sorry it's been so long. I am really, really working hard. I know I keep saying that, at getting back to the normal routine. It's just been very, very hectic. So continue to be patient with me if you can, and, you know, leave me comments, remind me to post videos, all of that. I read them even if I don't always respond right away. I'm always reading your comments and I appreciate it. Subscribe if you're not already a member of my community. I'd love to have you. All things worms. And I will post some videos here in a minute that you guys can watch if you haven't seen my channel before. And I hope you guys have a really great day.